Hey y'all, welcome back to At the Table Podcast, the virtual table where we discuss all things young adulting. My name is Fikayo and thank you so much for having me back in your ears. First and foremost, can y'all hear that? Doesn't the sound much better? Yes. Some $100 later and a new mic and a new recorder later, here we are. I'm doing the dang on thing, really growing in this podcast industry, and it is so exciting. Oh my gosh, the sound, like I have headphones in and the sound sounds so crisp, and I'm really excited to hear what the audio sounds like after I finish manipulating it. But here we are. Anyway, thank you for coming back. I'm really excited about this episode. If you cannot tell, I've already started on a sugar high. So I'm excited to go through everything. And today in this episode, we're going to be talking about procrastination. We are going to talk about my journey through procrastination, and we're going to talk about tips and tricks that I have personally used to combat my procrastination. And I think it's going to be a really great episode. So you definitely want to stay with me. And at the end, I'll also give tips and tricks like I always do. So definitely stay with me. Definitely listen to this whole episode. Definitely recommend this episode to your friends as well. It would really help us. Also, when you are listening to this podcast, post it or put it on your story and tag me and let me know that you are here, that you are listening. I could really use all of the love and it means the world to me. Okay, are you ready? Okay. If you are not new to At the Table, then you know exactly what's about to happen. But if you so happen to be new, we do these 2 segments before we start all of our podcasts. Well, the ones that I'm in. And it is, have you been praying, or how have you been praying? And that we just talk about what we are looking forward to and what we are really anticipating. And number 2 is, what are you snacking on? So this does not necessarily have to be food, but if it is food, then we love to hear that as well. But what is happening? What is the current happenings? What's going on? What are you thinking about? What's on the top of your head? So starting off with our first question, how have you been praying? And I have been praying against procrastination. And that is why this conversation, this podcast is just so timely, because we get to talk about exactly what I have been actively working against. So that, and what have I been snacking on? I have been reading a ton lately, and I love it. I really do. I have been reading a lot lately, and I really do love what I have been reading, how I've been reading, what I've been going through, and it's really just been really good stuff. Right now, the book that I'm reading is The Shit They Don't Teach You, and it is so good. I explained this in the last podcast, but I've been using it as a morning devotion, and it's a self-help book, and a lot of these self-help books are they're geared toward, they're kind of in the devotion format where it's you read a section every day or so. So I've been doing that in the morning, and it's just been really good. It's really been helping me. But yeah, how was that? That was good, wasn't it? I hope you've been praying, and I wonder what you're snacking on. And please let me know on Instagram. Let me know. I'm really intrigued. I'm really excited. Okay, let's get into this podcast episode. Are you ready? I am ready. So we are going to be talking about procrastination. First of all, procrastination is probably one of the biggest things that have plagued me ever since I was a child. I just was really talented at putting things off. I just knew how to do it very well. I knew how to avoid things. I was very avoidant. So I just wouldn't do it. If I didn't fancy it, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it, and it wouldn't get done. And it wasn't necessarily such a very big problem, because I was one of those girls that was kind of it's going to get done eventually. I just don't know when and how. But I just know that at the end of the day, I'm going to hit that 11:49, And at the end of the day, the due date, it's going to be in before the due date. And before that 11:59, it sure will. And I was just always one of those girls. And essentially, Anyway, so I wasn't always like a chronic procrastinator. I ended up in a religious organization in which I told you about. We've talked about this a little bit, but I ended up in this religious organization that was incredibly strict. And then they like asked us for a lot of our time. And what that did for me was it was actually very, very detrimental because at that point, right, up until my adulthood, the only thing that I could do to take up my time was to do school. But joining this religious organization then gave me an alternative aside from like school and, drugs. But aside from those things, to be able to use my time for. And obviously, like, the school was a yes and the drugs were a no. And those were easy things. But like, God, God sounded like a great idea. God sounded like a great idea to be able to divert my attention into. So I've talked about this before. Instead of like doing my homework, I would read the Bible all day. Or instead of going to the library, I would go to church. And there's nothing inherently wrong with doing all of these things, right? No. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's a right way to do it. Especially, that's what I was missing then. That's what they hadn't taught me. They hadn't taught me that there's a such thing as balance. And too much of anything is not good for you. Also, if that is religion, you know what? I'm not sure if people are going to be happy if I say that, but I can definitely personally testify that I had just become extremely avoidant. And it wasn't necessarily religion's fault, right? I don't want to make it seem like that as well. But I just hadn't learned how to balance anything. And I didn't know how to balance, like, I just hadn't learned it. It wasn't a skill that I was taught up until that point, because up until that point, my life's mission was very, very clear. Just do well in school. That was all that really mattered. But now I was just given this other opportunity to do something else, and I was completely intrigued, and I fell head first. And it was probably like the worst thing I could do for myself at the time. Yeah, it was probably the worst thing I could just do for myself at the time. So, like, let me tell you about how I would procrastinate too. I'd be like, okay, I need to be at this thing at 4:00, right? But I would push it back and be like, no, I'm going to do it at 4:30. And then 4:30 would come around and I'd be like, let me do a little 15 minutes. 15 minutes ain't going to do nothing. Let me just do it at 4:45. And then 4:45 is going to come and it's like, I've already sat here for like 45 minutes. I might as well just do it till 5:00. And that's how I used to procrastinate. And that was for every single thing that I had to do. And it was just really, really bad. And then after I kind of like even had come out of the religious organization and I wasn't using like God things to distract me, it was like TikTok, and it was social media. And a problem that I never really had before, like I had joined the religious organization, had now become this really, really big problem that I couldn't even, how do I articulate this properly? I couldn't even do anything. I was so enslaved to my mind and to my laziness inherently and my lack of ambition that I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to complete anything. And I thought like literally something was wrong. But no, nothing was wrong. I was just very, very talented at procrastinating and just not getting things done. And it became very, very, very scary very quickly, because how can you do anything if you do not trust yourself? Literally, how can you? You can't. You can't. And I had seen it in everything. Like if I was like, okay, I'm going to read, I'll procrastinate to read. If I say, okay, I want to work out, I will procrastinate to work out. If I say, okay, I want to, I don't know. Everything was just procrastinable. Everything was open to be able to be pushed back and to be procrastinated. And I just knew that It wasn't a good habit, and it wasn't something that I wanted to enable myself to continue to do. So I really, really, really began to hammer that and really, really began to attack procrastination. And I began to listen to interviews, and I began to listen to podcasts, and I began to read books on how other people figure out how to handle their time. So these tips that I want to give you guys, there are 10 of them. And these tips, they're the ones that I've heard, I've used, I still use, and they work phenomenally for me. And I just want to see if I can add something to y'all's arsenal. If someone is struggling with procrastination, if I can help you just a little bit. But these things are definitely things that I've tested, and I completely approve. I completely approve. These worked for me. So hopefully they might work for you. Now, the first tip or the first point I'm going to make is for you to identify the roots of your procrastination. Why are you procrastinating? What are you procrastinating for? I noticed that for the things that I didn't want to do, I would procrastinate those things more. So that made me have to think, like, first off, why am I even doing this thing? If it is actually hard for me to do, why am I doing it? Now, obviously, school is an outlier. Like school has to be done. But other things, like I was a part of an organization or something, and they required me to do some things, and I just didn't want to do those things. Why? Because I wasn't passionate about it. Like I just didn't care for the thing that they were asking me to do. So why was I doing it? I shouldn't have been. It was so off course. Like I shouldn't have been doing it. And maybe that's another conversation as well that you need to have with yourself. If you know you're supposed to be podcasting and you need to put something out, why is it a struggle for you to do it if you're supposed to do it? You know, it shouldn't be hard if it's something you really want to do. And if it's not, and it's not necessary, and it's not necessarily like making you money or your education, then why are you doing it? That's just me. I think that is very, very important. Like just understanding your why for everything that you do, and because I noticed that when I was able to establish my why, oh my gosh, it made life so much easier for me. So much easier. The things I didn't want to do, I don't do them. And the things that I want to do, I do them. And I'm excited to do them. It might be hard. Yeah. It might be difficult. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I want to see it work because I care about it. So I would say, number one, identify exactly why you're procrastinating. Number two, one thing that really, really worked for me when I was struggling with like getting up and getting out of bed and so on and so forth was the Nike, just do it. Literally just do it. It was literally just around this time in October that I was beautifully depressed. I had gained about 20 pounds. I had recently graduated. I had gained about 20 pounds. I couldn't find a job. I was really, really sad and just depressed. And I remember lying in bed, and I could feel the weight that I had gained on me. And I just knew, like, I need to do something about this right now. But it took me so long. And after a while, I had to just, I remember this is when I listened. This was around the time that I even really, really listened to someone talk about this, like Nike. Just do it. Like literally just freaking do it. Just do it. Just get up and do it. Don't think about it. Don't process it. Don't convince yourself out of it. Just get up and go do it. As long as it's a good thing, please. As long as it's a good thing. But yeah, if it's exercising, get up and go exercise. If it's do your homework, get up and go do your homework. Don't even think about how hard it's going to be. Don't think about how much strength it's going to take. Don't think about how much time it's going to take. Just do it. I heard somewhere actually that it says it's harder and it takes more energy to put something off than to just do the thing. I try to remind myself that all the time. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, nobody else is going to do it for you. If you don't do it, nobody is going to do it for you. So you have to make sure you do it, because who the hell else is going to do it? That was how it was with me. Who the hell else is going to work this body out and make it lose weight? Who the hell else is going to run these damn laps? Nobody else. Baby, you got to do it. You just got to do it. And that was really hard for me. Now it's easier though. But in the beginning, it was hard. It was hell. It was miserable. If I ever tell you that like it was fun in the beginning, yeah, it's definitely the endorphins kicking in. And it's the endorphins of that moment. I'm probably really excited that moment. But if I'm just going to be frank and completely honest, and here at the table, we are honest, it was hard. Hard as hell. But I had to do it. Just like how you have to do whatever you're procrastinating or whatever you're sitting on. Let me give you how I make it more fun though. So another tip I have is make an experience. And child, if you follow me on Instagram and you follow my social medias as well, you know I love a good aesthetic. I love a good aesthetic. I love an aesthetic. I will go to Pinterest and get like, I don't know. I say I have something, right, that I know I need to get done. Like, it just has to get done. Maybe it's some work that I just don't want to do. Maybe it's something that's going to take me a really long time. Maybe it's something that's just straight out boring. I will go on Pinterest and I will look up like study aesthetic or something. And I will search up. Literally, like, I will search up all those things and I will save all the pictures and go and find an aesthetic that I like, first off, and then go duplicate that aesthetic. So let's say it's, I don't know, a bookstore vibe. I go and find a bookstore somewhere and I go there and I sit down and I lay out all my books and stuff like that. Because I don't know, it's just that mental prep before that really, really helps me get into the state of mind of what I'm doing. And when I'm there, like, oh my goodness, I recently actually just went to this bookstore and I had a crap ton of work to do. And I just didn't want to do it. So I went to the bookstore and it was so nice. Like, I was looking at the books. It was raining outside. It just felt like I was alive. I had some coffee. I had all of my stuff up, my laptop, my iPad. I had everything out and I put my AirPods in. I knew the exact vibe I was going for, again, the aesthetic. And I jammed out. And that's another really big thing. The power of music is incredible. And this is even outside of studying, and this is outside of this podcast as well. Music is literally a lifesaver. It has the power to change atmospheres. And this is something that even like religiously they talk about. But music helps. Music really does help. And some days I am sitting there and I am doing like, I don't know, spreadsheet work or whatever. And I am listening to Afro beats. If that's how I'm feeling that day, I listen to Afro beats. Some days I'm feeling like I'm listening to folk music and I listen to folk music. Some days it's really, really hard and I don't know if I'm gonna make it through. So I listen to gospel music and I do the homework with God. But you need to figure out what works for you. You need to make it an experience. If you got shit to do, go get it done. Go get it done, but have fun with it. If you don't like that, go to a restaurant. I do that as well. I really love ramen. So I will go to a ramen store and I will eat ramen and do homework. Or I will just get my work done. This week actually, what week? No, it was on Friday. I went to a diner and I sat in a diner for 4 hours and I did my work. I make it an experience because I just give myself something to look forward to. And I spend money, yes, but it's my prize for sitting down for 4 hours and doing work. It's not easy, but I make it fun. So that's that advice. Another one is have a goal. Have a goal. Know exactly where you're trying to go. This is so important. You can't walk directionless. You can't. Where are you going to go? Where are you going? Where the hell are you going? Where are you going? Why are you even walking? You might as well sit down. Why are you walking? Don't. Know where you're trying to go. Have plans. It makes things so much easier because why? You are then motivated. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, motivation doesn't work. No, no, no. Motivation works if it's implemented correctly. Have a goal that you are going for, like a big goal. And then let me tell you, and then you take that big goal and you cut it up into tiny pieces, like check marks. And you do the first, you cut it up into tiny, tiny pieces, and then you do the first one, and then you do the second one, and then you do the third one, and you just make those tiny, tiny steps forward, and you move the needle towards that goal ever so slightly, but it gets done. And that's the thing that I run into when I like talk to people about things like this, is that they'll set a goal. Oh yeah, they'll set a goal, but it's too big. It's too dang on big. Okay, let's use an example so that the metaphor and everything goes into each other. So let's say I'm trying to save up $1,000. I can't say I'm trying to save up $1,000 and just expect the money to come one day. It's not gonna happen. How about we figure out how I can save $5, right? And then save $10, and then that $10 some way, right, turns into $100, and then 100 turns into 500, then we get to 800, and then we get to 900, then we get to 1,000. And that's how we've broken up my big goal into smaller goals to make sure that it's actually obtainable. But sometimes when you make such a big goal, you get lost. Don't get lost. Make the tiny goals. Make the checkpoints. Did I say check marks earlier? I'm sorry. Make the check marks. Know exactly where you're trying to go. Did I say check marks again? Oh my goodness. Make the checkpoints. Know exactly where you're trying to go. Set the direction. Set the compass straight and follow north. That is the most important thing. Another really good thing that has helped me is to find my systems. I've come to learn that everybody does not think the same. Everyone does not process the same. Everyone does not understand the same. I can say, I love you, and what that means, what those even 3 words mean to one person can mean something different to another. That might even be a little too deep. I can say my favorite color is blue, and that can mean one thing to one person and mean something completely different to another. A sentence just as simple as that. Everybody is different. And this is something I had to learn the hard way. I used to really actually resent myself because I just had come to realize I was so different than just everybody else I had seen around me. I was so different. And I would ask God constantly, God, why did you make me so different? Why did you make me so different? And eventually, He explained to me that that's where your strength is. So when I understood that, I knew exactly how to start dealing with myself. I needed to understand myself better so that I could know how to navigate around myself. And that's what I've done. I know that I work very, very well with routine. I try as much as possible to keep the same morning routine and same nighttime routine. I like structure. I like to know what's going to happen. I do not do spontaneous. I do not do spontaneous at all. I don't like it. It makes me uneasy. I already have anxiety, so I try as much as possible in my life to ease my anxiety. I take preemptive measures to make sure that I don't find myself in a place where I'm uncomfortable or sad or disappointed or angry. You know, I know myself very, very well. So that has helped me a lot with my procrastination as well. I know the times that I'm the most effective. I know a large coffee will have me feeling like I'm on Adderall, and I will get that work done. I will get it done. And as long as I have some good music and I know exactly the music I need to listen to be able to concentrate on whatever I'm trying to do. And I know myself, and I know my system, and I know what works for me, and I know what doesn't work for me. So I follow that, I honor that, and I use that to help make me more productive. I don't know, that really, really helps. Another thing is connect your goals to an identity. This is really important. I learned this in the book Atomic Habits, actually. And this changed my entire life. My entire life. Specifically, I'm going to go back to the running analogy because it's the easiest. But I remember when I was just starting to run as well. And I was just reading, it was so perfect because I was reading Atomic Habits around that time as well. So he had mentioned that maybe it's not saying like vague statements like I want to lose weight or I want to read more or I don't know, I want to cycle more. Maybe it's saying I want to become an athlete. I want to become a reader. And you attribute an identity to those characteristics, right? Because at the end of the day, what makes that thing an identity for you is the habits that you've displayed. So for example, for me, I had to tell myself, I am not a procrastinator. I am productive. So then, like, anytime I wanted to find myself procrastinating, I would tell myself, Fikayo, you are not a procrastinator. You are productive. So you need to begin to attribute the habits or show the habits that someone that is productive would show. Like, you need to do that. So what would a productive person do right now? Would they sit on their phone and continue to scroll on TikTok? No, they would probably get up and go to the library or figure it out and do the podcast or figure it out and get it done, get everything done. But you're not a procrastinator, Fikayo, you remember? You're not a procrastinator, so you have to get up because that's not your name, right, Fikayo? You're not a procrastinator. You get things done. And that kind of self-talk, even with my running, Fikayo, you're an athlete. You're a runner. You're a runner. A runner wouldn't lay in bed when they know that they're supposed to be outside. A runner wouldn't dread 1 mile of running. It's 1 mile. A runner wouldn't make excuses. Fikayo, get up. Get up. And it was all of this self-talk that significantly helped me. This identity thing, it changed my life completely. And it goes everything, like from procrastination all the way down to the way I'm perceived, right? Like, I don't want to be perceived as someone that's angry, so I'm happy. I don't want to be perceived as a bad friend, so I'm a good friend. Fikayo is a good friend. I'm a good friend. So I display attributes of a good friend. I organized. So I display attributes of an organized person. I am friendly, I am kind, I am hardworking. So I display attributes of a friendly, kind, and hardworking person. And it's so simple. It's so simple. But honestly, it has changed my life. It really has. It changed the way I looked at everything around me. It changed the way I understood everything around me. So I don't know what it is for you. I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your plans are. But attribute it to an identity. You want to become that nurse? You know you need to study. You're not becoming a nurse if you don't study, babe. No, you're not. You want to buy that car and keep calling out of work? You're not. You're gonna continue to walk if you keep calling out of work. Like, that's the beginning and the end of it, you know? You wanna be able to speak better? Then read more. You're not gonna speak better if you don't read more. It's very, very like cause and effect, but it's also very like you should see it. I mean, it's very cause and effect. So it's very important that you're not oblivious to these things. You want to be something, go chase that dream. You want to do something, go chase that thing. You've got it. You literally just have to believe in yourself. And this is perfect because it brings me right into my 8th reason, or my 8th tip, and it's push yourself. It is literally push yourself. Look, let me tell you something. Nobody else is going to do it if you don't do it. That's the beginning and the end of it. And I've said that before. Nobody's going to do it if you don't do it. And God forbid, Fikayo, that I am the one who holds myself from my blessings. No, absolutely not. God has put it all out there for me. God has made it available for me. God has put it within my reach. And can you imagine me, the one that's holding back? I'm the one that's the reason why I can't get what I need. Oh no. Push yourself. You literally got this. Literally, you have got this. You literally have got this. I know it's hard. I know you're tired. I know you don't want to do it no more, but you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. The world is waiting for you. The world is literally waiting for you. You've got this. And I really do mean this from the bottom of my heart, because I think it's so scary how procrastination has literally stolen lives, has stopped people's destinies, has really cut people's lives short, has stolen so much money, time, and happiness from people. And I just can't be one of those people. I can't allow procrastination to have that much hold over me. Honestly, it really does sound like a demon. It really does sound like it actually is kind of scary what procrastination can do and what it has done to people and what it's done to me as well. You cannot let it win. You cannot let it win. That is literally the devil. It really actually is the devil. And that's some of his finest work, procrastination. He's holding you back from all of your blessings, all of your miracles, everything that you can do. He is literally doing it on purpose to you. And if you don't believe in the devil, then we can talk about that. But I really need you to hear me, baby. I really need you to hear me. You've got to move. You just have to. And that's why I'm here. That's why this podcast is here as well. Because I really want to encourage people. You are only as small as you allow yourself to be. But also, guess what? You are also as big as you can dream yourself to be. You've got this. You've got this. Do you know that? Okay. Now 2 more, right? Number 7 is find a support system. Find yourself good friends. Find yourself a community that works. We can talk about that in depth. But you know what really, really works? Know the things that you really like, right? Know the things that you naturally draw to and go and find people who those things draw to as well. I'm trying to do the exact same thing, baby. I am trying to find friends who run. So I'm trying to put myself in running groups. I'm working on it because, I'm not trying to pop up somewhere and then they kidnap me. So I'm trying to figure out whichever way is the safest and the least way that I end up in a white truck. Anyway, but I like to read, so I've joined book clubs. I'm passionate about some nonprofits, so I joined the nonprofit boards. Go figure it out, but go find a support system. All right, next and last, thank you, Jesus, is be nice to yourself. How do I say this? Be nice to yourself. You are working. You have a whole life to get it together. You have a whole life to get it together. A whole life. An entire life. Be nice to yourself. It doesn't mean sit down. No, I do not excuse sitting down. I do not excuse not moving. You might be a little tired. I might understand a break. I might understand a breather, but a whole sit down? No, absolutely not. No, I'm not excusing a sitting down. We're not sitting down here. We got places to go. We've got futures to make. We have destinies to create. Sit down. Sit where? No, I will not advocate for that. It's not me. You can take a break. You can breathe a little, but sit down? No. Anyway, but be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. If you've ever listened to this podcast before, you know that I am the biggest advocate for being nice to yourself. Never do I ever want to hear you say bad things about yourself. Never will I ever say anything bad about myself. But it's not an excuse to sit down. I just wish you knew how much, honestly, I believed in you. I really, really do. And I know it's hard. Even for the fact that you listen to this whole thing, I know it's hard. And I know you're really trying to get through it. And I don't know how to say this, but I really, really do believe in you. You've got this. You can do it. You can do it. Everything you need is already around you. Just look. You will succeed. Do you know that? You will be great. Do you know that? I believe in you. Okay. If you listen to this, you have no idea how much it means to me. If you also listen to this, let me know. And if you have a brand that you're trying to promote or anything, I will also have you on this podcast because we're in this together. So let me know if you would like to come on here and we will talk. Me and you, we will talk and we will have some discussions. I will interview you, and then you can also promote your brand as well. That episode is completely for you, and I will work with you one-on-one and we'll figure out how to make it happen. It's already happened, and actually next week's episode is going to be really, really exciting. But yeah. All right, my darling. It is now time to clear off the table and wash the dishes. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I know Mommy Fikayo came out, didn't she? I know. But it really is because I love you. Like, love you to bits and actual pieces. And I know you've got this. I know you've got this. And I just want to see it. I want to see you shine. I believe in you. Don't forget again, please. If you're listening to this, when you're listening to this, help us repost it. Oh my goodness, people are just calling me up and down. Like, when I'm recording, when I'm like doing regular life, people never call me because but when I'm recording, that's when the whole world remembers that this girl is existing somewhere. What? Okay. All right. What was I? So yes, please. Like, follow, subscribe, all the things. If you're listening to this podcast, please post it on your story. Let people know that you are a part of the table team, that you're here at the table and you're sitting with us and you're sitting with me. Get más. Yeah, I think that's it, y'all. Oh, follow us. Yeah. We have an Instagram. My Instagram is FIIKAYO. You can follow me or you can follow the podcast episode as well at the table _pod. And you will be able to find us. If you have anything that you want to let me know, just let me know. My DMs are always open. So yeah, that's it. Do you know I love you? Do you know I love you? I do. I really, really do. Okay. Don't forget to pray all the time and laugh really loud.